This episode contains discussion of depression and suicide. It may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. If you feel at any time you need help, please reach out. A list of UK resources are included in the episode description. And now, Theatrephonic presents Dear Past Self. Written and performed by Ashley Shiers.
Dear past self, it's me. Well, you. Older and, believe it or not, wiser. I think I still look like you, except now I can grow a moustache that doesn't look like my eyebrow slipped down and I caught it under my nose. Oh, and we got that half tattoo sleeve finished. Plus, remember that silly idea of getting the Mighty Ducks logo tattooed on our kneecap? Well, you'll see. So, spoiler alert, you made it another decade. I know. I'm as shocked as you are, mate. More. By the way, you know that play you think of being in? Do it. You're a professional actor now, and it's the greatest job in the world. What else did we do? Are you sure you want to know? I thought we liked surprises. Okay. Well, in brief, we play in a few bands, do a bunch of theatre shows, some short films, fall in love, put on a wrestling spectacle in a pub with your best friends, move to Canada for 2 years, train as a wrestler with Lance Storm, break our ankle, release a ska punk album, perform Shakespeare in 2 continents, travel across the US on a train, make friends all over the world, and say goodbye to some loved ones, watch your sisters get married, and meet 3 amazing nieces and a gorgeous nephew. Do Edinburgh Fringe a couple of times, learn to sword fight, get our heart broken, and break their heart too, and learn to be on our own again. Tour the UK multiple times, own your first car, learn 126 Shakespeare sonnets for a YouTube channel, have the best friends in the world, and survive a global pandemic. We also get help, Ash. It's the scariest, most difficult thing you will ever do. But make sure you do it. Please. We nearly didn't. We nearly didn't get to do half of those things I listed, and we barely enjoyed them while we were doing them because we couldn't ask for help. And we wouldn't ask for help. We nearly didn't make it, you know. And to be honest, mate, getting to now might be our proudest achievement of the last 10 years. You want to know why I'm talking to this specific photo of us? Because that's you pretending. Look at her eyes. Go and look closely and tell me you're happy. Go on, I'll wait. Now look in the eyes of this newer photo. My eyes. Right now. That is the first photo of the real us. No pretending. Still a little sad. But determined. Yeah, determined. Determined to enjoy things as we do them. Determined to be as kind to ourselves as we hope we are to others. Determined to get through the darkest of thoughts. Determined to keep going. Happy New Year, Ash. I love you. Here's to 10 more.
Welcome to the Theatrephonic Q&A sessions. This is the Dear Past Self edition, and I have with me today the wonderful Ashley Shiers. Hello, Ash.
Hello.
Ash has been on the podcast a few times now. But this is the first Q&A that is going out into the normal feed that he has been in. So
these podcasts normally go out to your Patreons, but this will be a public Q&A podcast. Hi, I'm Ash, and I am an actor, and I act with Emmy on this podcast.
We've never actually been on stage together yet.
No, but we will.
We will.
I am an actor, like I said, but I'm not normally a writer. But I wrote this. It wasn't initially.
You say you're not a writer, but you've now written two monologues for.
I have, but not on purpose. But this is something that happened spontaneously by accident.
What made you want to? Because I know this was something that you mentioned to me that you originally were thinking about putting onto Facebook, and you eventually did. What was, firstly, your idea? What was your reasoning behind actually putting it onto Facebook and actually making it a public thing? And secondly, what made you want to put it onto Theatrephonic?
So there was one of those trends going around, is it the hashtag 10-year challenge, where people put a photo of themselves in the new year and a photo of them 10 years ago. And out of morbid curiosity, I went back and I found a photo, and I just started writing, and I thought it would be quite funny if I wrote as if I was talking to myself in the old photo. Because most of my creative process is going, wouldn't it be funny if, and then doing a thing. And then it turned out it wasn't that funny. It got really kind of deep. And I'm very outgoing as a person, but I keep my private life very private. I don't speak much about what's going on personally. So I've not spoken publicly about my own mental health situation much. So I wrote this, and I thought twice about posting it, because I wasn't sure if it came across like a weird humble brag, like, look at all this stuff I've done, which isn't the real point of it. So I messaged Emmy, and said maybe it'd work as a monologue. I don't know what you think, and then you read it and sent me a nice message back, and I ended up putting it online anyway. And it was kind of overwhelming, the response that I got back from the supportiveness of people who were feeling similar, or have felt similar, or have been through things with their own mental health, or people who didn't realize what I personally have gone through and got a lot of support through that. And my therapist encouraged me to write this as well. So it was kind of cathartic in a way.
Would you say that out of the last 10 years, getting therapy was like the best thing you've done?
Yeah.
So that tops even kind of like doing the acting and doing like the
I moved to Canada with my partner at the time. Because I wanted to do the bucket list thing of training with one of my childhood idols, and I did it. I saved up and I did it. And it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I loved it, but I look back on it more with enjoyment than I allowed myself at the time, because I don't like myself very much, I guess. And so at the time I was so focused on that, or pushing myself and all that kind of stuff, that I didn't allow myself to be like, oh, I'm here and it's really cool and I'm having a good time and I'm meeting cool people and this is something I've wanted to do since I was really young. And therapy has allowed me to understand why I feel the way I do, to try to not change who I am, but change my thought processes to allow me to enjoy things in the moment more. And I'm not very good at it yet, but I'm certainly getting better at it. And
It's always a process, isn't it, of learning, particularly because when you've had so long of these brain processes that you don't even think about complete subconscious, to then try and change the way you think about everything makes it very difficult.
I've mentioned at some point that I've not spoken much publicly about my own mental health. I have done it once before in my sonnet project. I made a video for Sonnet 66, and in it, the sonnet itself makes reference to suicide and feelings of depression, which I related to a lot. And at the time, I was very low, it was a really personal video. And in fact, it ends with me taking my medication and legitimately bursting into tears. And I remember sending it to several friends and going, should I cut it before that bit? Should I cut it after the medication, but before it? I ended up leaving it all in. And I was terrified, absolutely, because you put something on YouTube and the world can see it, and you don't know what they're going to write. And it became the most watched of my videos. And all the comments on it have been very supportive, and they're not all from people I know, which is even more kind of lovely. So that was the first time I think I ever publicly, I think I did it the most public way possible. But it wasn't.
Do it with style.
But it wasn't both that video and this. I didn't write it for other people. I wrote it for myself, but I didn't want to hide how I felt. So even though it was really scary is a good word, to let people know how what I've been through, I don't think you should be ashamed of having depression or anxiety or whatever your mental health state is. And I have found overwhelming support more than anything negative, which is great. I think even though everyone's mental health reasons differ, sometimes it's really comforting to know that other people are going through similar things to you.
You'll be amazed as well at how many people are. I found that having spoken more publicly to more people about, essentially at the beginning of lockdown, I suddenly, during a conversation with Tom, that I suddenly went, oh, I think I might have anxiety. And I was able, having identified it, be able to go and actually get help. But because it took me so long to realise, just because I wasn't aware, it's made me a lot more open about talking about it. And through talking about it, has made me realise how many people around me suffer from something similar, be it an OCD, be it autism, be it depression, anxiety, ADHD.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think what I would like people to most take away from this podcast bit, even more than the monologue bit. The monologue bit, if you can, what I'd like from that is if people can find it relatable. Somebody else is going through what I've gone through, or people who haven't been through anything like this can maybe understand a little bit more about, oh, it's not just easy to reach out. Like, the thing I would really love people to get from this podcast is, you see it everywhere. Just call me, reach out. I think reach out to people. Don't wait for them to reach out to you, because what's the worst that can happen? There's nothing wrong with them. You've said hello to someone you haven't spoken to in a while, and but to one person in 5, 10, 20, it might mean the world that you just sent a message going, hey, I haven't spoken to you in a while. How are you doing? And it might give them the courage to actually say, do you know what? I'm not doing great. I think waiting for people who are drowning to push themselves over the edge to reach out to you is a big ask, and I don't think people necessarily realise how much of an ask it is. So I think what I'd love people to take away from this podcast is go on social media, go through your friends list, pick 25 people you haven't spoken to in a while, and just send them a message saying, hey, how are you going? How's everything with you? I haven't spoken to you in ages. And you might help somebody more than you realise. And also reconnect with 25 people, which is always really lovely.
Very good advice.
But yeah.
For people who, for example, if I were to reach out to someone and they did come back and say, I'm really not going through a good time right now, what was the best thing that I can do if someone does open up to me about a mental health problem they are having?
The best thing anybody can do is listen. Just let people talk and listen to how they're feeling. Not tell them what they should do or what they need to do, but listen. And then if they ask you for advice, then you can maybe suggest things. But the problem is you can't force somebody to do something they're not ready for. Not everybody is ready to go to therapy. I know when I got my medication, I didn't take it for months because I couldn't face it. And I say in the monologue, we couldn't ask for help, and then we wouldn't ask for help. And it was literally years before I was able to, I went to my doctors, my GP, about something really incidental, and he said, anything else? And then I just broke down in the middle of the doctor's surgery, and that started a conversation. And then it was months, but no, it was a year and a bit after that first time when I finally called the local council mental health service that he'd been recommending to me. It took a really long time. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I don't think people necessarily realise how much it takes, how much effort it takes. And after each therapy session, I was physically exhausted. So the best thing you do is listen, because a lot of the time people know what they, in quotes, should be doing, but you have to let them get there, I think. And people also, they just want to be heard. They don't want to be lectured or dictated to. And they just want to know that someone's there. They want a hug, even if it's not a physical one. The comfort of knowing that if someone doesn't understand, they're trying their best to understand. I used charities before I took doctor's advice. I used Mind, and when I was really close to the edge, I called the Samaritans, and yeah, there's a charity called Calm as well that are really good. And there's no point giving out the numbers or the names. Most people know of these charities, but
we'll put links in the show notes.
Yeah.
And please, if you do feel like you need to talk to someone, use those links. You will meet very kind people at the other end of the phone. It's
everybody says it. Everybody says it because they are helpful. And from my personal experience, if you are drowning mentally, and you need to talk to somebody, they do help. They help me personally. I don't know if that's of any comfort to anyone, but find a GP who listens as well. I know that mental health is taken more seriously now, but some GPs are more open than others. Find a GP who you can connect with, who listens to you, and that saved me. And when you're ready, the local NHS support services are very good. The waiting lists are long because they are underfunded, but if you are in dire straits and you have a really good rapport with your GP, they can help create a link with those services. And I know they differ from county to county. There is a cat in here. Pets are
to...
also really good. I don't have a pet, but yeah, you can find support in the weirdest places. Online communities can help you feel really safe. People or places that you have lots in common with, and other people who may have gone through similar than you. I am a huge wrestling fan, and I watch a lot of YouTube videos by the channel Wrestle Talk, and they have on their website a support page with links to all sorts of mental health things and stories and numbers for all over the world. And when I was stuck and I didn't know who to ring, I actually used their support page because I felt like a real part of their community. And it sounds silly and a bit strange, but I think there's no set way to get through this or overcome it or get used to it or whatever your coping mechanisms need to be. So whatever helps you find support, use it. But also, don't wait for people to come to you asking for help. Check in on people. The worst they can say is, you know what, I'm fine. It's all right.
Now that you have made some massive steps as covered in your monologue, and just as I know you've done a huge amount to get through everything, what are the things that you kind of are starting to look forward to?
Nothing specific. I think it's more the kind of the taking time to smell the roses kind of thing, and making sure that I enjoy my life in the moment rather than looking back at things retrospectively and going, oh, I did this really cool thing once, but remembering deep inside that, like, at the time I was really, really unhappy. I didn't allow myself to enjoy it. So I guess that, I mean, I'm on tour at the moment, hopefully going on tour with the company in France, if the world stops being on fire long enough. So I want to enjoy those experiences. I think the tour I'm on now is the most fun I've had doing a theatre tour, because I'm so aware that I want to make sure I enjoy every little silly moment of it. And when things go wrong, or when you're miserable and you're freezing cold in a van or whatever else, it's all part of the experience and part of the fun. And I think I don't take that for granted anymore. But I keep getting weird tiny little epiphanies. It's not like these big moments. It's all these little steps where, like, I don't talk to myself and tell myself I hate myself anymore. Or as much. My car broke down in the middle of the motorway a few months ago, and it was terrifying. Middle lane of the motorway. I couldn't get out of the car. Cars were speeding up behind me. I could have been in a really nasty car crash, and I was lucky that didn't happen. And I was in shock at the time, and I had to call the police and call green flag and get all that out of the way. And then I was stood at the side of the road waiting for the truck to come pick me up, and I was just like, I didn't want to die, and I didn't want to die, and that was a kind of that's the first time I've genuinely ever thought that, and it wasn't this huge revelation. It was just this little, like, oh, I don't think like that anymore. Like, it step by step, I'm feeling kind of more positive about myself, which, sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and sometimes, like, that moment felt like 3 steps forwards. But
there are times when you'll just look back and suddenly realise what progress you've made. It's kind of like when walking up a hill. It seems like a really long way, and then you look down, you suddenly go, oh wow, I've actually come up a really far long way, and I didn't notice how much I'd managed to climb. There's still a way to go, but I've managed to get that far up.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't want to say give people like advice on what like they should do the exact same thing as I have done, because everybody experiences things differently. But one thing I do a lot is
Stupid cat.
I look back and I try to remember as vividly as possible my lowest points, so that I can remember how far I've come, rather than kind of suppress them and not remember. They're a part of who I am, part of who I was. So I think it's really important for me personally to remember those moments, so that when I am feeling down, I'm like, but I'm not feeling that bad, which will hopefully be a continuing trend. And it's, I think I was saying to you and Tom that those photos that I chose, the older photo, I specifically remember feeling like I just wanted to walk outside the pub into the middle of the road and just be taken away, and having to pretend I was fine in front of everybody. And that photo, I don't know if it's my imagination, but I can see how sad I am behind my eyes, and when the rest of me looks so ridiculous. And in that second photo, that was taken, I think, I can't remember why I took it. It looks like a really it looks like a really just like a selfie that I took in my room. You can see the towel in the background on the radiator. But it was, I think I was setting up a shot for one of my Sonnet videos and checking the lighting or something.
And you're like, hey, I look fit, I'm going to take a photo.
Yeah, no, that wasn't it at all. But that was the same day, that morning I'd had some therapy, and it was the first time I had realised that I wasn't being as hard on myself. And it was my first realization that all the effort I've been putting in to trying to change the way I feel or cope with the way I feel was paying off a little bit. So when I say that that's me now, those are my eyes, they're still a little bit sad, but determined. That is literally how I was feeling when I took that photo at that time. I don't know how to finish this.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think there's much else to add. So, as previously mentioned, the links, it will be in the show notes, which is the text at the bottom of this episode. There'll be links to various help sites you can go to, specifically for the UK, but there will be organisations who can help you wherever you are in the world.
And pick 25 people, send them a message, see how they are. It's a really good habit to get into. It's a really good way to stay in contact with your friends, and you might be helping someone way more than you realise. Yeah.
If anybody has any questions they would like to ask, please do email theatrephonic@gmail.com. And we hope you have a good day. Thank you again so much, Ash, for joining us.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me put myself out there a little bit more.
Yeah. And the next time you hear Ash, it will be in a much more ridiculous setting. You'll get that to look forward to. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You have been listening to Dear Past Self, written and performed by Ashley Shiers. Produced by Cat on a Piano Productions. For a full list of the music in this production, please see the show notes. The Theatrephonic theme tune was composed by Jackson Pentland, performed by Jackson Pentland, Mollie Fyfe-Taylor, and Emmeline Braefield. For more information about the Theatrephonic podcast, go to catonapiano.uk/Theatrephonic. Tweet or Instagram us at Theatrephonic, or visit our Facebook page. If you enjoy Theatrephonic and would like to get more content, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Theatrephonic. Please don't forget to rate and review. Thank you for listening.